If the very first strike comes from
This
China's
is a simulation
DF-17
exercise.
hypersonic missile, would Taiwan even have a chance to recover? This question lingers like a shadow over the Pacific, drawing strategists, soldiers, and ordinary people into a debate that feels both futuristic and urgent. The DF-17 is not just another missile. It represents the fear of speed so great that reaction seems impossible, and the anxiety of surprise so profound that even the strongest defense might feel uncertain. But what would it really mean if the opening shot of a conflict was hypersonic? The DF-17 is a missile shrouded in both technical detail and psychological weight. Designed to carry a hypersonic glide vehicle, it launches like a ballistic missile, then detaches, skipping along the atmosphere at speeds above Mach 5. But unlike traditional warheads that follow predictable arcs, the glide vehicle can maneuver, twisting, shifting, gipping. In theory, this makes interception nearly impossible with existing air defense systems. Recent reports, such as those from Focus Taiwan, suggest China has deployed DF-17 units near its southeastern coast, within striking distance of Taiwan. And the world has noticed. Why is the DF-17 so unsettling? Because it redefines the concept of time in war. In military defense, every second counts to detect, to decide, to intercept. Traditional ballistic missiles give defenders a slim but crucial window. Hypersonic glide vehicles collapse that window, leaving defenders asking, how do you stop something faster than thought? Yet the DF-17 is more than a missile. It is a statement. A first-strike weapon, analysts say, designed to blind, deafen, and paralyze. If used in the opening moments of a conflict, its targets would likely be the beating heart of Taiwan's defenses, long-range radar sites, hardened air bases, and command centers that direct surface-to-air missile batteries. Imagine the first wave. Streaks of hypersonic fire aimed not at tanks or soldiers, but at the eyes and ears of an entire defense system. What happens when the radars go dark in the first 10 minutes? From Beijing's perspective, such a strike could create the illusion of inevitability, that resistance is futile, that defense is already broken. But is it truly that simple? Can a missile alone determine the outcome of a war? Or is resilience built into the layers of planning, redundancy, and allied support? Taiwan, after all, is not blind to this threat. Exercises in recent years have included HIMARS rocket artillery units, systems capable of rapid deployment and precision fire. HIMARS, spotlighted in Reuters reports, are not designed to intercept hypersonic weapons, but to counter-launch, to strike back at launch sites, and to create uncertainty for an attacker. Alongside them, Taiwan has sought dispersed storage for missile sites and NASAM-style air defense systems that are difficult to eliminate in one blow. Even if the first layer of defense is pierced, could a distributed web still function, forcing an attacker to spend more and more resources? And then there are the skies. The United States has signaled that the F-35, a fifth-generation stealth fighter, could play a role in such scenarios. Beyond being a strike aircraft, the F-35 is an intelligence hub, capable of gathering data, identifying launches, and feeding information into the wider network of defense. Could stealth jets turn the tables by providing eyes, even if ground radars fall silent? Or would they become targets themselves, hunted in the chaotic hours after their strike? This is where the strategy grows murky, and where the human imagination fills in gaps that no simulation can fully capture. What does the first 72 hours look like if the DF-17 succeed in knocking out key nodes? One version of the story suggests air bases crippled, aircraft stuck on runways, missile batteries unable to coordinate, and communication fractured. In such a scenario, Taiwan will be forced into survival mode, relying on mobile units and pre-positioned stockpiles while allies scramble to gather intelligence and reposition assets across the Pacific. In another version, if defenses absorb or outlast the first strike, the DF-17 could be remembered less as a decisive weapon and more as an overhyped showpiece. A dramatic missile that failed to deliver strategic knockout. Which version is closer to reality? The emotional impact is not only about physical damage, but also about belief. Belief in the ability to fight back, belief in the credibility of alliances, belief in the value of deterrence. If the DF-17 creates the impression that no defense can survive, then even without total destruction, it has already succeeded in reshaping the psychology of conflict. And that might be its truest power. Not what it destroys, but what it makes defenders doubt. Is this the dawn of a new kind of warfare where speed and unpredictability matter more than numbers? Or is it simply the continuation of an old truth that every superweapon eventually meets a countermeasure? As history shows, no advantage lasts forever. Radar defeated early bombers, missiles countered troops, stealth changed detection, and now hypersonics challenge interception. The cycle repeats, but each turn feels more dangerous because the margin of time grows smaller. For the United States, the credibility of its security guarantees in the Pacific could be on the line.
Right. So these hooks, I don't know if you know this, and those blocks,
across the region. Would allies like Japan, South Korea, or the Philippines question these deterrents if hypersonics can bypass defenses? Or would a united response emerge, hardening alliances instead of weakening them? And so the real question remains, if the first strike comes from DF-17s, who truly pays the highest price? Taiwan, in its immediate vulnerability? China, in the risks of escalation and global backlash? Or the United States, whose reputation as a guarantor of stability might be tested more than its weapons? The DF-17 then is more than a missile. It is a story of speed, of fear, of strategy, and of uncertainty. It is a tool not only of military design, but of psychological theater, meant to shape the choices of leaders before the first shot is even fired. So what do you think? Is the DF-17 a game changer, or just another chapter in the long race between offense and defense? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to ArmaForge for more deep dive scenarios, and check out our next video on how stealth fighters could reshape the Pacific balance. Remember, this is a scenario analysis only, not a prediction, and certainly not support for conflict. The goal is to understand, not to glorify. Because in the end, every weapon tells a story. And the DF-17 story may be less about the missile itself, and more about how the world reacts when speed becomes the first strike.